Hi and welcome to this Specific Ask. I am Rishabh Agarwal and today my guest is Tanu Vatsa. She has a dual master's in psychology. She is a marriage and family therapist, a clinical psychologist and a child psychologist. These are three of her major areas of work. She's a published writer and she's worked with the United States government for 10 years. Let's say hello to her. Yeah. Hi, Tanu.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Such a pleasure to have you over.
Absolutely. Same.
What are we talking about today?
You tell me. What's the topic?
Let's talk about sports. What do you think?
Oh yeah, go on for it. I played for states and I went to the nationals as a shooting champion. Yeah. So go for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that later.
The trap shooting was my specialization.
Sharp shooting? Trap shooting?
Trap shooting.
Amazing. So we can talk about that.
Go for it.
Yeah. I gave your intro as the psychologist that I know you are. But sports ke baare mein baat kar sakte hain. Why not?
Why not?
We will add that segment later, by the way. I'm very curious about the sport now. I want to talk to you about mental health as a subject in a very, very basic way first, right? Because, I think we still are a few leaps and bounds behind in India, when it comes to talking about mental health and actually understanding what it is. We all focus a lot on physical health, fitness.
Absolutely.
And by the way, those two are different aspects as well. Fitness is different from health, right?
Absolutely.
So let me first ask you, what is mental health and why is it important?
So see, mental health is not a new topic, firstly, let me tell you.
Exactly, yeah.
It's been on till 17th century, right?
Yeah.
We've been talking about it, the theories written about mental health, mental illnesses, disorders, but it is now, and I think because of COVID, that it's even seeped deeper into our society where we started to accept what is mental health. And mental health is as normally described as your physical health. You have aches and pain in the body, you are aware of aches and pains in my body, and then you go and ask for help to a doctor.
Yeah.
The similar way is your mental health. If you're not feeling, now let me say this, mental health doesn't mean just IQ. Because when we look at mental health, we look at our brain and we say IQ. No. It's all about EQ, your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence, which means your self-awareness towards yourself, your self-regulation towards yourself, your social interaction in the society.
Yeah.
Now, anytime you're not able to go within to see what's going on with me, I'm numbing out, or I'm too anxious, I can't feel things in an appropriate fashion, or I'm unable to regulate it, or I am starting to feel I'm isolated from the society. I don't want to go out and interact with somebody, or when I interact, I'm panicking or I'm anxious. So all of these little symptoms that you go through in your daily life defines mental health, because they're going to restrict you to have a daily healthy life. A daily healthy life. We're not talking about a milestone. We're talking about what you do every single day when you wake up.
Yeah.
So that's mental health.
Now, I have asked you what mental health is, right? But I really need to understand the importance of understanding what mental health is, right?
Okay. So see, for example, that I've been, as you said, and you introduced me, is that I've been working in this line for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen various different degrees where people have been affected by their mental health. Sometimes they know about it much sooner, sometimes in the middle stage, and sometimes it's too late. Too late means now the recovery will take a little bit longer, and we might have to take help of medicine. So psychiatry comes within. So let's talk about how it looks when you are beginning. The symptoms, what do the symptoms look like? Symptoms that look like that you're not able to fully sleep in the night, you're troubled. When you wake up, you have palpitation, you have anxiety, you wake up with high cortisol, say for example. You wake up and you don't feel things around as happy. You're not motivated enough to get off the bed and say, I'm looking forward to going to work.
Yeah.
Or if your children or your wife or somebody around you is talking in a loud tone, or if the children are busy, etc., you're very irritated. So your regular everyday life is compromised, where you're not able to enjoy what your life looks like. Your parents are saying something and it's not going in your ears. You're numbing out. You're like, I can't deal with it. And where are you lost? All in your head. Thoughts take over. And there are so many people that I work with, and it's mostly your thoughts. They're like, please shut it off. They just keep coming back in. There is a woman right now who I'm working with as a client, and she's like, it was when I was an 8-year-old and my mother left me to my grandparents. Ever since then I've been going through one fear after another, which is first she thought that if I'm eating food, I won't be able to swallow it. So that was the fear that she began with.
Wow.
Never spoke because she was a little child. She grew up. Then it was all to do with this person is going to leave me. So she was involved in a romantic relationship where constant fear that the person is going to leave. So insecure attachment comes in. Now, every day, imagine when you wake up and you're constantly worried if the person next to you is going to stay or not. You're constantly suspicious about their behavior. You're constantly worrying, will this job remain or not? You know, what I'm talking about is when your thoughts take over so strongly, when your emotions take over you strongly, and you start facing mood disorders.
Yeah.
You don't know why you're reacting. So many times there is a man that I'm working with right now, and he's like, I don't want to yell at my wife, but I don't know why I continuously do that. I know I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm aware, I'm completely aware, but the moment comes and it triggers, and it could be anything. And he's asking me, Tanu, but why only her? Why am I not like this in my office? Why am I not like this in my family with my parents, etc. and etc.? Why is it her? And I know she's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Power, hierarchy. There's an imbalance in relationships. So there could be numerous amount of variables that could play in a person's life for them to feel a certain way. And when you're not able to manage the regular stresses of your life easily, and you feel disoriented, you feel helpless about situations, it's when it's starting off for you. You need help. You need to talk to somebody who can help you with that.
Would you say these are the first few signs?
I wouldn't say there are any first signs, but staying lost in your thoughts could be something.
Doesn't that happen to everybody?
But lost for a longer period of time. See, 5 minutes, I could be lost when my driver's driving the car and I'm thinking something and I'm lost. Doesn't mean that I'm ill or I need help. No, I'm not talking about that. Lost means a lot lost. Your wife's talking, your husband's talking, and nothing is going in. And your relationships are starting to get damaged.
Could it be escapism from that moment? Just
could be.
But
when you start with the behavior, it doesn't stay only there. It takes over various different areas of your life, and sooner or later you start saying, I'm largely numbing out. It doesn't go in. I know of a client who is not having a great relationship. So he chooses to numb out with his wife, chooses to numb out. But now he comes to me after 2 years, and I told him, no, we need to work on this. And now when he comes, he's like, Tanu, I don't remember what I did 1 hour ago.
Okay.
I don't remember whose call did I answer, what did I talk to about?
Short-term memory issues.
Lost completely. And then he's like, I have to look up to my phone book and my text messages, and I'm lost. What do I do?
But that could be easily summed up as a mind which is distracted.
It's not as easily. Let's not say easily here, because it's really damaging a person. Now, he doesn't feel emotions most of the time.
When I said easily, what I'm trying to say is that it happens to everybody, by the way.
Not really. Depends upon the nature of your job, first of all. Depends upon the nature of your job. What are you doing for 8 hours? Not everyone doesn't remember 1 hour ago what happens to you.
As a business owner, when you're running like 3 businesses, 4 businesses, you're running social media
he runs only one business. You're sitting in your office, you're answering phone calls, and you're working on your laptop. You could easily remember what you spoke to an individual. That's what I'm saying, the nature of business. And I know these days people are juggling with various different things, and you do lose on information. That's absolutely okay.
Yeah, but that's different
from what I'm saying.
So that's basically the reason I'm sort of asking you this is because I want to draw out the difference and just to understand
deeper
where's
Great
which
question.
one's the problem, which one's not.
Yeah, it just depends on the individual. See, looking from things from outside, so relationships and people and mental health doesn't exist in isolation.
Right.
It's a deep interconnectedness towards who I am as an individual, what my environment is, what my work is, what my society is, what my culture is, and a lot of layers to it that you are struggling to form an identity. And you feel safe in revealing that identity to different segments of people, expressing it.
Yeah, because it's a safer identity to share.
Right.
Makes sense. All of this sort of begins with stress, would you say? Is stress a trigger to problems? Not just problems, so there are let's sort of
Stress is one area which affects your mental health. Relationships is another area which affects your mental health. Financials in your work life is another area that affects your mental health. Your social circle, what kind of people are you hanging out with? Do you feel one with them? Do you feel the support? Do you feel you can express? All of that takes another level. So all of this can give you stress for sure, but doesn't mean that some stresses are good for life, right? They keep you going.
Yeah.
They keep you going, and it's
keep
good.
you
Motivated. They keep you in self-check.
A good challenge is always...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then there are some stresses which you just can't handle. And over a period of time, you lose touch with what I'm supposed to do. The hopelessness and helplessness seeps in really deep. And it could just be... So when I did my life coaching in the United States with ICF, and my teacher, Mina Brown, and I'm very thankful to her, is when we sat down, we discussed on various layers, and she taught me to coach. And I coached a lot of, we had a whole set of team that used to go into hospitals, and we used to coach a lot of doctors and surgeons to how to talk to the patient, because sometimes the answer is right there. But it's just the blinders that you're wearing, and the right question hasn't been popped in the right timing, in the right context, that you are unable to see.
Again, I mean, my problem right now with understanding this is the very fine line that I see between being a muddled brain, like a busy mind, and then also something that you yourself realize that there is a problem. Because the more it has
let's not term it as a problem. See,
when I say a problem with some sort of a problem going on within which you're not realizing to address, right?
Correct.
Some sort of a trouble, let's call it. But for you to realize it and then taking action is the second part, right? But the first step is understanding.
It's realizing it.
That is where I'm still a little confused about where is the line.
Let me help you with it.
Yeah.
So let me help you. So that's why I use the term when I define mental health as emotional intelligent. How intelligent are you about your emotions?
Okay.
That one question will take you in to make you go in for self-realization. Where am I standing? What am I feeling? And I do this really quick exercise with a lot of my clients, is a body scan. All right, so many times biofeedback works better than you going into your head and finding a logic to how I'm feeling. Go for your body. So cool down, calm down, look at your body, scan your body, see what you're feeling, why you're feeling, and then your body starts to say, oh yeah, I'm having palpitation, I'm a little trembling in my hands, why is that happening? And then we go within and see which area of your life is getting affected. And why? There's so many times clients come in and they're not as vulnerable to begin with, right? And they're like, no, they're also testing the rapport with me, right? So they don't want to open up. And that's where we start with, like, let's go only to self-realization, self-awareness. Let me say that. Just be aware of yourself. No one's watching you. No one's going to disclose. So that's where the therapist, confidentiality, number one, where we don't judge you. We don't do nothing. We just are there as your partner to figure out where do you want to go and where are you. There is a divided self that we go through. There's an ideal self and the real self. And that is a big reason for a lot of people to feel disappointment in themselves, and they struggle with it. And then the whole idea of having a wheel of that, hiding that shame away. We pretend and portray so much in the external world. And that is why today's pandemic is loneliness over anything else. There is a big...
I really want to talk to you about loneliness as well.
But 1 in every 5th individual is going through loneliness. So they go through anxiety, depression, because they don't feel safe, or they don't find that somebody is there who understands me, who resonates, who validates. Half of the problem is solved when somebody is listening to you empathetically and non-judgmentally.
Absolutely.
Half of the problem is solved right there.
Right.
Because your struggle stops.
I remember what this was back in school, Monday morning assembly, right? The school counselor, she said something like, she was talking about solitude and loneliness.
Oh, you still remember that?
It's weird how your brain sort of has these crevices where something gets stuck,
Yes.
So I remember this where she said something like that when you understand what solitude is, you will never be lonely. Which was one line that got stuck with me for a very long time, because my English was horrible, by the way. It's not great even now, but solitude was something which is again that gap between what you said, right? my ideal identity and my real identity, and then understanding and bridging that gap, and then understanding what solitude and loneliness actually is, and then trying to bridge that gap. We may find people in our lives who are non-judgmental and good friends. Sometimes seeking that outwards is a troublesome situation as well. You might not find such people, especially when you're desperate. But if you understand solitude, it sort of
helps a lot.
Helps immensely.
Yeah.
One of my friends said, if you can't have a meal by yourself, then there's something wrong. You need to figure that part out. I'm like, why is that a big deal? And then I actually tried to do that. Solo traveling, eating by yourself, maybe going for a movie alone, not the easiest things.
Not the easiest things, actually. And it takes you in. It takes you really in. Either you will be very shaky with yourself, you'll be uncomfortable, or you'll actually truly connect. And you will embrace yourself like how you would want anyone else to embrace you. And I use this line in every therapy session of mine is, I'm my biggest lover, I'm my biggest supporter, I am my best nurturer. You give this to yourself, no matter what.
There are so many people who've basically, let's say, created this fantasy world of being a solo traveler. They've planned a trip, gone for like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, or a week trip, and they've cut it short by like 5 days and come back in 2 days, realizing that, okay, this is not something possible for them. It's not easy. Because again, that gap between solitude and being lonely. And it really dawns on you, and it just sort of hits you, and it says, okay, why am I feeling lonely right now? It's because you don't understand yourself. Self-awareness, like you said, right?
And if you do feel lonely, go connect with somebody.
Exactly.
That's simple. It's not difficult. You feel lonely, you go and connect. You make that effort for making a connection. And if you're fine and you're complete, okay, I'm good in myself.
Try going to a cafe on a weekend, anywhere, like Khan Market, anywhere in Delhi, wherever you want to go. Have your cup of coffee, just say hello to the person sitting right next to you. They'll start talking to you. And
I'm happy that culture has seeped into India now.
Exactly.
Because when we were growing up, it wasn't culture.
We were taught not to, right?
Yeah, told not, because it's not correct.
You don't speak to strangers.
You don't speak to strangers, right? You stay away from there.
Exactly.
So now it's different. When you, I do know where, we were told all this because we were children and we didn't know. But now that we're adults and we understand, so it's good to connect with people.
I have a bunch of friends who do this on the weekends, especially like even post work.
Right.
They'll stop by somewhere, have something to eat, or maybe sip a coffee or something, and then connect with people. By the way, age demographics is a thing as well. Somebody in their early 20s will connect with somebody in their late 30s, and they'll still be friends. Because that is one area where you are open and being honest about yourself as well, because the other person's not going to judge you in any case, because you don't know them. There's no history there. There's no future there. And somehow that seems like a safe space.
I understand.
And it's therapeutic.
And it's therapeutic. It's absolutely there. Connecting to people, understanding, resonating, validating is therapy itself.
Yeah. But there is one more additional fact why people do that.
Right.
Because they find it hard to go and see a psychologist or a counselor and seek therapy.
Taboo still.
Exactly.
When I started my practice, it was still in India, and then I went to the US for 10 years and I've circled back. So I see two different sides of it. It's much better than ever before, because now even a third grader student in a school is going through a mental health class.
Wow. That's
okay. So my client walks and says, my child comes to me and says, Mama, today we are having a mental health class. Mental health is used because people generally stray away from mental word, and they go for mental wellness or well-being or things like that. But mental health or these things are largely like, oh, I'm fine, I don't need help. Everyone needs help, irrespective of your age. We all work in a codependent environment and none of us have all the answers.
Let me add on to that. I Googled some questions, right? So I wrote down, how do I spot the signs of mental ill? If I would have said this 10 years back, I would have said, how do I spot the signs of mental illness? And now this question on the internet is, how do I spot the signs of mental ill health?
Ill health. Great question, see? Because it's a person who is going through something. It's not the person.
Exactly.
It's not the entire person.
Exactly.
I could be going through grief and I'm going through denial. I'm going through a really bad phase, and that might last for maybe a year, which might only last for 2 months for somebody else.
Yeah.
And it differs, and I would need support for that. I might be cracking through an examination and I'm really worried and nervous and I can't, and I'm binge eating and eating a lot of things, and I would need help there. And it's okay. We need help in all various stages and various areas of our life. And there are people who are sitting outside, like when you need helps in accounts, you go to your SAR. When you need help in your physical body, you go to a doctor. It's as simple.
Yeah.
It's as simple, and every family needs it. Like you have a general physician for each family needs a therapist. Because see, family is a place where there is a lot of adults living together, a lot of different personalities living together. The needs of every individuals are different, their goals are different, and then the interplay between the relationship is different. It's very, very, very complex. And for an individual to find a safe space when we say family, so many times you have to be skilled for it.
Yeah. I like to think about this in a very different way.
Sure.
So many relationships, so many things to dodge, so many things to do. I say it's so simple, right? The reason I say that is because there is this schedule in place. It's just, I sleep at this time, I get up at this time. Whatever happens between those hours is something in my control. But then again, I sleep at this time, I get up at this time. So there are few
you find
things,
the locus of control there, and
there are these
there's
few
a structure
things.
you put into place, and you're okay with that structure. You feel
Absolutely.
healthy, great.
I want to come back to that, but I'll add on to the stigma bit a little bit.
Right.
A friend of mine recently divulged in the other three of us, saying that he was talking about, some session he had with somebody, and he went for therapy, and he says, yeah, but I can't talk about it openly because if my staff finds out, or if my clients find out that I'm undergoing therapy, there is this inherent insecurity in the boss or in the service provider that they will not appreciate or not understand.
That's where,
that's where my business will suffer. So I can't talk about it.
I can't talk about it. I totally hear, understand, and feel where he's coming from, because that is a big thing. Because when we look at our leaders, or even for our parents, when a little child looks up to his parents, you think they're God, they're heroes, they're nothing wrong. They know it. They know the entire thing crystal clear. They're going to guide us through. So do we feel the same, and we reflect the same for the leaders around us, right? Our boss has gotten everything in control. All is well. And when we get to know, no, he's not doing well, instead of giving support in that moment and understanding and resonating, we go back and we are feeling already insecure about our life, our position, our things. Where it's time to step up and say, what can I do for you? Can I be of any help? That's the way we're going to change the society. And that's the need for today. And I am glad people are. Actually, I'm seeing the transition where a lot of people come to me from a little child to an adult who is 60, 70-year-old, who will say, okay, my children just flew and I'm all alone now.
Yeah.
And the transition is really not easy, because you're completely changing your identity and you're transitioning to another lifetime kind of an experience, and you need support. And you need someone right there listening to you until you have found a place where you find it okay to navigate from.
You spoke about family therapy, right?
Right.
A parent going through therapy will fight it out and never let the child know that they're undergoing therapy. If the child, who's a teenager or probably older enough, they would not like to tell their parents that they've gone and met somebody or seeked help somewhere. They would not want their parents to know for the other reason that they'll start worrying now.
They'll start worrying now.
Right? So it's the same coin but two flip sides, and both sides there's cause of concern. But the parents will not let the child know is because they don't want the child to feel insecure.
Right. There's something wrong. Then my parents might get divorced if they're going for therapy or counseling sessions.
Or it could not even be just the relationship of the parents.
And
it
that's
could
where
be
the
just an
education,
individual issue
and
as
I'm
well.
glad the schools are really playing an active role in this. There is a counselor sitting in every school now. It's a rule, it's a regulation now that has to be followed. And people have started openly talking about it. The awareness is there. See, like you and me are talking, people know about therapy. People know about therapy today.
Yeah.
Every house knows what a counselor is. Every house knows what a therapy is. Have they taken that step and walked into a therapist office or taken in their phone call and called a therapist? No. That hasn't happened, and that's why we all need to talk about it. That's why the taboo gets broken. Is like,
But I'm
don't
actually
be scared.
questioning the idea of the stigma. I'm saying, is it all bad? What I'm trying to say is that it stems out of something. The stigma stems out of, for
And
my
you-
friend, it stems out of the fact that it'll hurt his business.
Right.
For the parent or that kid, it stems.
It's how you portray it. It's how we take it, because we've lived in that stigma for so long that
Okay.
That therapy, counseling was never a field in India. It only stemmed to, okay, become a professor or become a teacher. If you've studied psychology and if you're a counselor or you're a therapist, you're only a professor or a teacher. Very, very few people, I'm talking 10, 12, 15 years ago, when I started off, and very, very few known people were doing counseling, and I've done internship under them, and people were not ready to pay. People wouldn't walk in.
Tanu, you've worked in the US, yeah. It's a
different, I'll come to that. So I'm talking about...
I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm talking about the difference that I'm seeing today. There is a difference. People have accepted somewhere in their hearts that there is a need for therapy, and they need it too.
Yeah.
Now they are fighting that stigma in the society. What will people think about me?
Yeah.
Now, for example, if I'm confident, if I know there's nothing wrong in me, it's just something I'm going through and I'm seeking help for that.
Yeah.
It is how I talk about it, and then how I receive another individual. That's what I'm saying. So let's break and then bridge the gap, by saying that if somebody is going through something, that's why people like, okay, so let me step back. Like, when people are going through something, let's bridge the gap by saying, can I be of any support?
Okay.
You don't know this one line can heal someone. Or I know a therapist, I can give you the number and I can help you through it.
Yeah, and if you need someone to talk to, I'm there.
I'm there. Just talk to me. I'm there. The amount of suicides we see is not about... So most of the suicides that happen in Kota, for example, is because what will the parents go through when they get to know that I haven't scored well?
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's always about that integration in the society. We're always fearing that. We're rejecting ourselves, and that fight has to end. And the only way they find a solution to it is, I'm ready to end my life, but not go to a therapist.
Okay.
We need to bridge that and take people out of it, where therapy is not that it terms you as you going through a mental illness or a mental disorder.
Yeah.
No. Therapy could be as simple as...
A third person's perspective.
Yeah. And I go to school, I'm not able to make friends. As
Yeah.
simple. All right? And
Why do the kids in school give me a hard time?
Exactly. Why
Yeah.
is that happening with me? Or I am having a self-image issue. When I look at myself in the mirror, I don't feel confident.
Right.
As simple as that. As simple. Me and my husband are not connecting, or me and my wife are not connecting, and I do see we're at a stage where we are sleeping in different rooms. Or our communication patterns are very different. Whenever she speaks something and I speak something leads to a fight, we don't know how to resolve a conflict.
Yeah.
It's as simple. It's as simple.
Right.
It doesn't need to be anything more.
Right.
We're just building skills, life skills, to deal with our life for a better and more happy and a more joyous and more balanced life.
Yeah. That's where
Skill
it
building.
sounds. Yeah, exactly. That's where it sounds like counseling, and it helps, right?
Right.
It's
People conversing.
It's like taking a good advice as well, right?
Exactly.
Like I said,
And if
third
there are
person's
blocks that you're
perspective.
going through, we help you through it. These are very, very simple things.
Right.
I'm not sitting here saying, oh, there is and if there is a solution to that. If there is a
Okay.
disorder, there is a solution to that too.
Okay.
Right?
But I'm not sure if... I think every child in India, regardless of a boy or a girl, we've been taught to be mentally tough, right?
Right.
I can only speak for India. I'm not. But I do want to talk to you about your experience in the US. Why? Because for years, and I don't think there should be that stigma in the US now, right? Over the years. Because I think they're more open about it, that they're undergoing therapy. It's completely their right to not share with anybody if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody needs to tell anybody. But even in if an employee in a certain multinational is undergoing therapy, they would never want their peers to know.
Right.
That's the same challenges. That's the same challenge here, right? So I would still not call it stigma. That's what I was actually coming at. Sometimes it's not
Confidentiality. You don't want to reveal it. We don't feel safe to reveal.
There
Fair.
are good reasons for it.
Fair.
Right.
Fair. But we also have to see that in America especially, people are not scared. They're choosing. There is a difference between being scared and not speaking and I'm just choosing not to speak. We are sitting in a scared position. They're not.
Yeah, but we are also people who don't like to be vulnerable, right?
Right.
If I'm going to share my weakness, if I'm going to share my troubles, I will appear weak.
So vulnerableness is nothing to do with your weakness. I can be vulnerably, emotionally connected in a happy space with somebody and reveal my happy side.
Sure, but not with troubles, right?
No, I can. So let's talk about vulnerability. As you said, a very important question, which people, especially men, especially boys, they've been told to toughen up.
Yeah.
Toughen up. Be a man. Don't cry. It's still the blue socks for a male and a pink for a girl.
Yeah.
We are the one who are creating. We are the one who divide in the society. It's saying we're all human. We all go through basic human emotions, and emotions don't hit you because you're a boy and a girl. It just is there. It's universal.
Okay.
Right? It's universal.
Yeah.
The boys are told not to feel it, or at least if they're feeling it, not to share it, not to express about it. I'll tell you, we were sitting in a all boys school, and this was in 11th and 12th grade. I was taking a bullying workshop, and there's a boy who comes to me and talking about empathy and stuff like that. And he's like, ma'am, bade pyar se he asked me, he's like, ma'am, but when I go and I talk to somebody, yaar, acha chalna, kya hua, acha mujhe bata, to wo khud hi bol deta, yaar, ki why are you becoming so emotional? Chill it out, it's okay. Like, अब मैं करना भी चाहूँ एम्पैथी तो मैं किसको जाके करूँ? सामने वाला एक्सेप्ट भी तो नहीं कर रहा. So imagine how we have, and that's why how men show that they are not. So see, for the escapism behavior comes in now, is where I'm not supposed to show it, but your body is feeling it, but your mind's feeling it, but you're suppressing it. How will it come out? Rash behavior, rash driving, a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, a lot of those kind of addictions will come into it. Anger management will be another thing. Because boys are told it's okay, they're angry, they're boys, they can show anger, they can yell, they can scream. But whereas for a girl, it's okay to still cry, but not scream, not shout. So she goes towards that way of expressing her disappointment and when things are out of control, whereas man shows it like this. Are we really regulating ourselves? Are we understanding what's going within us? How can we sort it? How do we self-regulate? No.
It's also about trusting the other person. Yeah?
Of course, not everyone can you be vulnerable to. Not at all.
So if somebody just comes and asks me how you're doing, I would 99.99%
of course
of the
not.
time say I'm fine.
Of course not.
Right?
Of course,
Because
of course.
I'm not sure if I want to.
I want to open up.
Yeah.
That's a different situation. So context depends, right? But if context depends, I'm not saying go and talk to anyone.
And I swear, sometimes, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you on something where empathy is important. I get it. But sometimes empathy is not the solution. Because
of course not.
You don't want it from everybody.
No.
Because when it comes from that random person who you don't trust to talk to, or you don't respect to talk to, or you don't want to talk to, it sounds like pity. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's that very thin borderline between that empathy and pity, right? But when you're actually
empathy and sympathy are very different.
I get it, but it appears like that, doesn't it? To a mind which says, okay, why am I looking weak to this person? Why are they coming and asking me? Who is this guy who's asking me? You know what I mean? It's not coming from somebody I want to talk to about it. Right? Then it seems like pity, right? It seems like, okay, for some reason he thinks I'm weak or she thinks I'm weak.
That's a perception.
That's what I'm saying. It's perception.
It's perception.
Right? That's how you take decisions, right? If you want to talk to somebody or not. But when it comes to professionals, how do you choose who's the right therapist for you?
You'll have to go and try, like how you do it with the doctors, right? You go to a general physician.
It's like a consult, and if you don't like the consult, then you try another one.
Try another one.
Sense. That's actually,
why would you? Yeah, it's as a common sense, I would say, like go try it on. You like it.
Do we have public resources in India to sort of look up therapists in different regions?
Yeah. Go online. You will see a lot of pages. They have a list of therapists there with the ratings on, etc. You can go do that, and or there is always in schools, especially for your children, there is a counselor sitting in, and I think they are also allowed to even give therapy to the parents or be a counselor to the parents. And there are enough resources. I wouldn't say enough. There are resources available out there, and you just have to try to search for it, reach out for it. Like most of my clients come from word of mouth. Do you see what I'm saying? They are going out and saying, I went through therapy and I feel great today. I've been able to make such changes in my life that I never even thought those existed. Forget about doing it.
Does it happen where it doesn't work? For example, a friend of mine, I mean, the divorce is not final even now. She's much younger to me, but she entered a marriage where the boy was already married. Married and divorced once. She married the guy because the families knew each other. They were very close. Both the fathers were like friends since their childhood. They decided it's fine, बेटी ने एक घर से दूसरे घर में तो जाना है. Within like a month or something, troubles were there. There were clear signs as to why the first divorce might have happened, whatever it was. Now she came back to her place. It's been 7 years. The court case it's dragging on, no finalization, nothing doing. The girl cannot move on with her life. She cannot leave India because the court case is going on. It's not final. She's growing older and older. So there are all those demons in her head. She's tried fitness completely, like trying to move, exercise, eating right, sleeping on time, having a good busy work schedule which is fulfilling, bunch of other things. She's tried therapy as well. But the last conversation I had with her was it completely broke my spirit in a very, very bad way. When I'm talking to her and we were just joking around like we always do, and that's always how we've spoken to each other, and she just broke down on the phone immediately, and she just started crying. She's like, मैं अभी यार बात नहीं कर सकती, I just can't. And she started crying on the phone. Sometimes it doesn't work.
How is that connected to therapy? She crying, and how do you connect the dot between therapy not work?
I'm just saying that everything that her therapist is advising her, she's doing. There are a bunch of other things that she's doing. It's all, at least it seems like something that she's following. And she keeps on saying this, कि यार मैं fed up हो चुकी, मैं सब try कर रही हूँ और कुछ नहीं काम कर रहा. 7 years, it's a long time.
Right.
The only problem is that she's stuck somewhere now, right? She can't get out of that, at least on paper. She can't get out of that marriage. So it's become a whole problem because of just another human causing that pain to her, right? And she's trying to be in that good frame of mind for the last 7 years. It's not being achieved for some reason.
Right.
The solution is not being sought in some sort of a way.
Right.
कहती यार मैं कितना पॉजिटिव रहूँ, यार मैं कितना वर्क करूँ, यार मैं अपने आप को कितना समझाऊँ. She has good friends. She has a very, very good, healthy circle of friends, very close confidantes, whatnot. Comes from a good family. There is no financial issues. There is no otherwise health issues. Everything is fine. The family gives each other time. They are happy for her to be independent if she wants that. There is no challenges in terms of facilities or any sort of a support. She's not happy.
Okay. One to say is therapy is not a pill you take and things get sorted. Okay? Therapy is something that you keep taking until you feel better.
Yeah.
All right? It's
enough.
like food and water that you take every single day.
Exactly.
It's not like you've had food one day, you don't need food for the next 7 days. You need it every single day. And the situation that she's going through is hard. All right? It's not easy. And she had one breaking point.
Exactly.
One moment where she got overwhelmed and you were her confidential space where she broke down and she could break down and she expressed herself. It still doesn't mean therapy is not working. Otherwise, 7 years, imagine where she would be if she had no therapy, if she didn't have that support,
Right.
if she didn't have that guidance, she didn't have that one person standing by constantly through these 7 years.
Okay.
So that's just one moment that she went through. It isn't about therapy not working.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But whatever happened to the spirit
And,
of sin?
and you know, what you've been talking is a good thing, because so many times when a client is coming to my office and we begin, it's like, ma'am, kitne session lagenge?
Exactly. I know
मैम
what you mean.
कितने सेशन लगेंगे? 2 बारी तो आ गए.
कितने हफ्ते की दवाई है, right?
Exactly. 2 बारी तो आ गए.
2 बारी तो
क्या?
आ गए.
ओह नहीं 2 बारी में तो हमने कुछ बात ही नहीं करी है,
Right.
तो पता ही नहीं चला रूट कॉजेस कहाँ हैं. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process, and I really don't know how many sessions will it take. How do I know? Because every single day, every single moment, the context is going to change. You will go through something and you might need help, or the moment might shift in a way where, like, I have.
It's also that, it's also adding to the taboo of undergoing therapy, telling people that I'm in therapy, whatever, or just people finding out.
So there are 2 things now.
There's
one is
one
therapy
more.
as a word, and now people have started to accept it.
Yeah.
अब almost हर घर में जैसे पहले एक इंजीनियर डॉक्टर बनता था ना, वे घर में एक काउंसलर है.
Nice.
Right? So that's a shift we have made. Now वो कैसा दिखता है? What does the counseling session look like? अब चले तो गए हैं. अभी क्या करना है मैम? अभी आप क्वेश्चन पुट करोगे कि मैं बताऊं? It's that. And then I'm like, okay, let's see why you're here. There's a reason why you're here, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. But I don't know you. I still, okay, great. Let's start to know each other. So it goes on like that. We build a rapport. We
Absolutely.
understand. So it's not just a counselor पे गए, डॉक्टर जी दवाई लिख दीजिए और हम चले गए.
Exactly.
नहीं, it's a rapport building. It's a confidential space. It's a space you feel you belong. You can be yourself. You can just open up and nobody is judging you. They will hold you together. I'm your sounding board. I'll make sure that we have things and resources put together. I'll open up your blind spots. Let's walk
You're
this
absolutely
together.
Absolutely. I know for a fact that people there are some people I know who have been ongoing therapy for a long time, because that's also become their way of life, because that supports them.
That supports them.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and
fine.
Like a couple of people, like especially one of them who lost
But
his
also,
wife.
any good counselor would let you also be.
Yeah. Of
Right?
course.
So counseling is not a place where you get so dependent. It's a codependent space. When you need it, it's there. When it's not there, we've already taught you how to be on your own. You are, because when we say something and we have a session, we let you be in your life and say, experience it. Let's see how you can integrate it. Then let's see what challenges came. Then let's see how we can sort it together. Right? So the ultimate goal is that you're able to feel your life and live your life better.
Yeah. But I was mentioning this guy, but it sounds like something which helps you find your answers sometimes, right? But whatever happened to don't recognize failure, soldier on, be a man, right? I looked up the definition of being a man on Google. I shared that with you, right? Let me read it out for the people. So it said, here's what Google said. It means not being afraid to show the world who you are, exactly as you are. Being a man is never being afraid to show your emotions, to be the little spoon and to ask for help when you need it. Being a man means rejecting toxic masculinity, embracing the differences of others, and uplifting those around you.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I think.
Isn't that great?
I think Google changed the definition
of
being a man, right?
Yeah, because it recognizes it's the time to change.
Yeah.
It's a time to change. It's not about blue and pink socks.
Yeah.
It's about humanity. It's about emotions are all universal emotions, and we all are allowed. That's what makes us human. That's what emotional intelligence is all about. If you're not emotionally intelligent and you're really high on IQ, and trust me, you can't. I have a client really, really high on IQ. All right, many degrees like this. Education seeps into him. He goes for competitive examination one night before he'll study, he'll pass. But not so good in his EQ that he couldn't hold relationships. He doesn't understand the context. He doesn't understand another human being. It's like, it's a straight line. This is to be done. When you deal with human beings, it's a lot of a dance you have to play. It's a dance of the unknown.
How do you build EQ?
Build EQ, like I told you, the definition itself. Number one, be self-aware. All right. You have to know yourself. Then it's about self-regulation.
Fair enough.
Then it's about social integration.
As adults, we can, right? We had a counselor in school. I never got the lesson on emotional quotient, right?
Yeah.
In school. It was a great school, no problems there, but IQ was focused on.
Yeah.
Kitne percentage aayegi, red ties, blue ties, whatnot,
That's
right?
about it.
IQs were focused on.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm wrong when I'm saying that schools are still like that.
Not so much, because I work in schools and they're not so much. These days, they have, I'm talking about what is mandatory. Why am I'm going to every school week.
Yeah, mandatory for following a policy, correct?
Policy, and what do we do in that policy is we go and talk about emotions to them, we give them exercises, we talk to them, we give them examples, we make them do role plays, and we keep a check on it.
Tanu, is it possible you're viewing this from your glasses?
No, it's not, because I'll tell you why am I saying all this is, see, if you're looking for a perfect change, it hasn't yet happened, all right, but we're in the process of that.
Fair enough.
We're in the process of that, and I do see the process. All right, when I see a special educator and a counselor sitting in the school, and the school taking an initiative for people, calling people like us from the outside as a corporate, and coming and talking about it to teachers, to parents, and then to students, and students starting from as young as possible, third graders. We're talking about it. How do you feel? And we show them different faces. And why do you feel like this? What days do you feel like this? So that's where it's not just about adults. Now, even with children, the question that we ask them is, how are you feeling? What are you feeling? Then we give them different emotions for them to pick it up. What do you really like? What do you really not like? Why is it that you don't like it? We ask them these intriguing questions so that they can build a vocabulary for themselves and start becoming self-aware. My 3.5-year-old nephew knows exactly how he's feeling because my sister talks to him like that. Arjun, what do you need? Arjun, which ice cream? Arjun, why so many scoops? Oh, I like it. What do you really like in it? I like the taste and it's really cold and I like it on my tongue. Can you see what I'm saying? We're already building all that. It hasn't yet come in and integrated fully, but it's there. Let's embrace the system that the schools are developing. They need that support even from the parents and from the students too. We like it.
Yeah.
We want to do it. Go talk to your school counselor. Go talk to people who come in. Make that effort. It's good for you.
But on a lighter note, when being a dad, when your child asks you why, that's a tough question.
Very tough question.
I don't think we are equipped to
We
answer.
were never equipped. Yes, you were not equipped on it to be a dad who can be questioned.
Exactly.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny that you're doing it?
Yeah.
And we're like, mind
Yeah.
your business.
Mind your business.
Yeah. No.
Then go to your room, mind your business.
Mind your business. So yeah, see, we're not equipped. That's what I'm talking about. You need a skilled person to tell you how to do parenting. And that's what we do. When parents come in to me and they say, what can we do to be better parents? I'm like, okay, let's start where if that question has come in, that means you've seen some gap. Tell me what the gap is.
Fair enough.
And let's begin. Let's see what we can do better.
But when you look at, okay, I might be generalizing this, right?
Sure.
For the sake of argument as well, but when you look at any sort of a successful person out there, when I say successful, I mean hyper successful. Somebody who is successful in the people's domain.
Putting the society's perspective, the definition.
Yeah, exactly. That success, right? The Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezos and whoever's, right? They all have these eccentric personalities, right? You can hardly call those personalities balanced personalities, right? There are those proclivities to not accept anything which is not their own original thought. They are, how do you call them? They are non-conformists. They don't live by the rules. And somehow, somewhere, they have those childhood upbringings which are tough. For example, the Formula 1 champion right now, Max Verstappen. His father was the harshest father to him, by the way, who was a Formula 1 racer as well, Jos Verstappen. He left him on the road every time Max did not win a race. Like, he used to drive him home, right? And whenever Max used to come second, he just used to make him walk to the house. And this is just one of the stories, but there are stories out there which was that he had a hard, tough parenting, which has created that master beast within that Formula 1 car, right? And there are so many parents I talk to, especially even who are career counselors I speak to, and the way they've raised their kids. I ask them as well, and they're like, and I ask, does tough love work? They say absolutely 100%. Sometimes having that tough parenting, at least in the past or in the bigger examples that you see out there, has raised champions. Somebody who takes a challenge head on, saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this, and let's see how it's not going to happen. Might not be a balanced personality again, but it's created success for those guys. There is a fire within them to prove themselves. I know of lesser number of such successful people who've had that balanced childhood or that by the book correct parenting.
There is firstly no book of correct parenting.
What I'm trying to say
One,
is you
I understand. And that's one. And second is, yes, absolutely. As you said, you might be overgeneralizing it. Let's take it on from there, because see, I have seen people who walk into my office personally, and we're talking about, personal contexts here, who have had really tough love, as you say, if I define it, and they are not happy. They're really suffering in their life. Those visuals of what happened to them and how their parents did whatever due to tough love is really horrifying. And now it's become so amplified in their mind that they tremble about it and they're angry about it. And they can't regulate. It's like, how can a dad do this? How can a dad's love not be there? How can a mother not be compassionate?
Yeah, but then again, we cannot generalize this as well,
generalize.
Right?
Of course we can't. That's what I'm saying. So it depends. Now I'm giving you the answer. It just depends. I always say there is no book to life. There is no book to parenting. There is no book available. It is the dance that we do together when it comes to relationship. What works for my child? What works when? How? Only you know the answer. Because you live with that child 24/7 or whatever hours that you spend. You know that best. Now comes the point where I don't know how to navigate through, because I also want to do good to my child. That's why we discuss about who your child is, who you are, what is the family environment, what are the goals we're trying to achieve. Now let's see what the solution looks like. There is no one formula as mathematics that fits into every single square or every single problem. Oh, tough love worked for this one, so it's going to work this. Tough love also made Hitler.
Yeah.
Right? In a way, successful, but also see what he did. Right? So I'm just talking about.
I give you many more successful examples than.
I can't think of an example where, or maybe, there's so many times celebrities, or so many times other people I've heard them to say, oh, my dad was so loving and so open, we never really felt. Now there's a friend I'm talking about here. Like, my dad is like a friend to me. I could just go and pat on his back and talk anything, and it worked brilliantly for me that I'd really never thought like.
Yeah, now you can, but like.
No, this is something. He's 50.
That's what I'm saying.
He's 50, so his dad. So he's like even older to who we are. And at that time, those kind of parents were existing.
Yeah, sure.
All right. And there are people who are really damaged because of tough love. And there are people who have really, so let's not say tough love. I would say the right word is, let's get more structure to our life. Because what I'm not seeing today is a people following structure, like you said, getting up 7 o'clock in the morning and doing my thing. And I have a time. I wake up, I do my thing, I come back. There are so many people who've gotten derailed because of, say, social media, because of, say, other things, that they don't find a structure to themselves. And that's where I find like their success rate kind of goes down. And there are so many more variables I can talk about why you are successful and why you're not in the social terms. It's not one. And I can't generalize it. And I don't think there is enough data collected in the right way which can say where, is tough love appropriate or not? Or is that the reason? Or
Sure,
that is single most reason
That's fair. I get it.
Yeah. But tough love sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. And who makes that choice is the person who's involved in that context.
So then what we are saying is there are personality types.
Yes.
And we are saying there are
relationships, family environment.
Then pardon me, therapy or no therapy, things will still remain the same then, right?
Why do you say that?
Because personality types will always be there.
How to integrate that personality?
Different types of upbringings will still be there.
Right.
Say, for example, the peers will still remain the same. Your teachers are still the same. Of course. The world, society, challenges.
Of course.
Ambitions.
Of course.
Emotions, love,
Agreed.
everything is going to remain the same. So people are still going to focus on those things in that same way.
and not in the same way. The perspective will change. Now the integration
According to
will
their
change.
personalities.
Not according to their personality is also dynamic. Some things will always remain core to you and some things will shift. Are you the same person who was 15 years ago?
No, but I didn't seek any therapy. I still evolved.
So of course you will. And I'm not talking about therapy. So there are, you want one example and there will be so many areas of your life you want to exponentially grow, but you're not able to. It could be a relationship, it could be success in life, it could be other things that you would want to, you need to, but you're like, I don't know where to go. Is there a person?
By the way, a big part of the evolution that has happened individually for a person like me is also that be a man. Mard ko dard nahi hota. We don't complain. Get up, keep walking. Don't stop.
That's a good line. Yeah, get up even after a failure, after a rejection, and keep walking. That's a very good line. But sometimes in that line, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, नहीं चल, हार्ट अटैक होता है, स्ट्रेस इतना मैसिव है, रात को नींद नहीं आती है, अपने आप पार्टनर के साथ सो रहे हो, एडिक्शंस होती हैं, है ना, इफ हो ही नहीं सकता कि आप सिर्फ दर्द नहीं हो रहा, अपने आप को बोलते रहे और चलते रहे और वो कहीं ना कहीं ना देखे, मैं कह रही हो ही नहीं सकता, 100% कहीं वो शो कर रहा है, मैं आपको
वो शो करता है जब आप ब्रेक लेते हो, 8 मिनट का सिगरेट पी के आते हो, वो शो करता है जब हर वीकेंड आप दोस्तों के साथ या विदाउट दोस्तों के साथ दारू पीते हो, वो शो करता है जब आप उससे आगे बढ़ के कोई और सब्सटेंस अब्यूज करते हो, एंड then you get hooked
and you become exactly, now you're talking, right, and because you're not managing life in sections and rows. It's all overflowing. It's like a spaghetti, one long spaghetti.
I have friends who are 50 years old now. They've lived their life in a certain way because that was the proper way of living, and now they go out partying like there's no tomorrow because they've not done it before in their younger time, and they're trying to mingle with the crowd which is much younger. So that entire crowd is creeped out by these guys. It's like, why are they crowding us? Because that's not apparently their space in social norms, right? But people come out in a very, very different way. Their personalities change, their interests change. Then they're like, what have I done in my life? And I've lived by these rules. I got married at 18. I've had a kid who's a teenager now or probably an adult now, right? And I'm just 42, 45, 43, right? मेरी पूरी जिंदगी निकल गई बच्चे पालते हुए, and now my daughter or my son is in college, and we look the same more or less, right? Because you don't age by like 40, 45, and it's hard to tell between the daughter and the mother, right? Or the son and the father anymore. And then you're like, okay, what now? Then they start behaving like their kids. That's the kind of social life they want now. That's the lingo they're using. That's the kind of clothes they're wearing. So there's nothing in terms of the societal rules anymore that they want to follow. And it comes out sometimes in those wrong ways, with addictions, with affairs.
Yes, my goodness.
With so many other things. Random
things. Yes, absolutely. Lives, right? Running away. They don't talk to their family straight face. Number one. They'll escape there but go out and talk to different people. You know, they're not able to focus at work. They need smoking after every half an hour.
There was a reason why I said Mard ko dard nahi hota, right? Because I had a whole follow-up written down. And I thought about, going for this monologue in this whole episode, and I'm going to like crack it in a champion way, but I can't. So I'm going to read it. Mard ko dard nahi hota aur ho bhi kyun? The very definition of being a man revolves around being stoic, being mentally tough and expecting that there will be hardships. But you keep moving. Now, these days, it's called hustling. By the way, in early 2000s, hard work started being referred to as struggle. And someone who was a champion coined the same thing as hustling, because it was a more positive term, right? What is wrong with mental toughness? Or understanding ki we don't recognize anything.
Great question. Let's go for it.
So, I'm recording.
Oh, अच्छा हो गया?
I'm recording.
Okay, cool.
So I'm asking you this. Okay. What is the problem in being stoic or being mentally tough, and just completely understanding what our previous generation has worked through? By the way, the reason I keep referring back to it is because I've seen hard men. Hard men create good times, suna hai na?
Let me break this, okay? Because this is too many words which needs definition here. Number one, you said strong men, mentally strong.
Let's go back to the basic thing. The reason why I'm asking all of this is the basic attribute that you place with being a man or the society, let's call it. I'm not going to say society because it sounds like I'm abusing my parents or the elders before that. So I'm going to say the way I was raised, or the way most men in the country or around the world have been raised, is by parents saying that, kya hua? Chot lagi, get up. Just, brush yourself off. Let's keep moving. So in a way, it was softly said कि क्या हुआ?
क्या हुआ? हाँ.
लग गया?
छोटी सी तो बात है.
दवाई लगाते हैं, ठीक
हो जाएगा.
रोने की जरूरत नहीं.
रोने की जरूरत नहीं है.
रो क्यों रहे हो? चुप हो जाओ. जरूरत नहीं है.
Have you seen that ad that runs and उसमें छोटा बच्चा रोता है और उसमें वो उसको कहते हैं रो क्यों रहा है? Be a man. It's time, things like that. And then they show the transition of a man, of a boy becoming into a man, and then he's holding a woman's arm.
And I'm sorry, I hate such ads.
No, there's a reason. No, you hate it, but there's a truth behind it. Because our parents' generation, even though there was no social media, which could talk about all of these abuses, violences, our society was filled with it. Our society was filled with it, where men would not have the emotions to resonate. So many women used to talk about, "Hamare husbands hame samajhte nahi hai." Why do you think there are extramarital affairs happening, or why do you think there is addictions happening? As simple, mentally strong hona means resilient hona. Word ka definition samajhte doesn't mean you don't have to feel your emotions. You have to be resilient enough to be able to fall, accept that fall, and able to get up again by understanding what happened to you, not by ignoring and brushing it away. Kuch nahi hua.
You think previous generations didn't understand that?
I wouldn't like to generalize again, but what I'm trying to say, when these terms were coined as giving roles before a little boy is born, and the role is assigned, tumhe dard nahi hoga. You are shutting off a growth, a big developmental growth stage of a child, not a boy.
I do this with my kids. Tell me if I'm wrong. I have a boy and a girl. I do this irrespective of the gender, by the way. When they fall, they get up. I said, we don't cry.
Why not?
Listen to me, they still cry. There's nothing wrong with it. And I then don't tell them to shut up. But the idea is, okay, you've fallen, get up. And that's the only thing. I never pick them up, they get them up themselves, right? It's a basic idea. Like I said, and the reason I'm quoting it again and again and sort of bringing it again back to that same point is, I've seen hard men. The reason I've seen hard men are people not boggled down with any sort of a trouble.
That's resilience.
You're somebody into business, right? No.
Resilience.
Let's call it resilience. But there are situations, especially in the entrepreneur's life, especially in India, where a trouble after another trouble will keep hitting you, be it any sort of a departmental issue, any sort of an approval issue, licensing issues, whatever, municipal issues, any sort of labor issues, whatnot, right? So many challenges come around, and each one of them threatens to shut down your business or your livelihood. And then sometimes I worry that if we were not raised in a strong manner, told that, okay, we don't fall. We do fall, but we don't keep down.
Yes, it's not about we don't fall, it's about keep going on.
Very simple 2-word sentences, 3-word sentences, our fathers or our grandfathers used to say it. Kya hua? Chalo. That's it.
Now, kya
hua? Chalo.
Kya hua? Chalo is a good term.
It was never like, chal बैठ, discuss करते हैं, इसको assess करते हैं, तू भी रो मैं भी रोता हूँ, दोनों डिस्कस करते हैं, गले लगते हैं, फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं.
हर चीज का एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट होता है.
यार चैलेंजेस की बात कर रहा हूँ यार.
आपने बहुत सारे टेबल पे सिचुएशंस ले आउट करे हैं. So let's try to focus and dissect, because that's what I'm saying. So अगर एक छोटा बच्चा गिरता है और वो रो रहा है, we might say, oh, I'm sure that hurts you. You need anything. You're okay. Let's go.
There's no one proper way.
I'm giving an example. That's what I'm saying. Context plays in. It's a dance. It's a whole lot of stuff that happens. But I'm saying is you'll have to judge for yourself. There's so many people who've been told, be hard. We don't feel anything. Don't feel anything. They don't feel anything. How? You're human and you have to feel something. So you're constantly suppressing yourself, and it shows up in X amount of areas. Somebody would be absolutely, as you say, hard when it comes to business. You don't know what's happening in their homes. You don't know how they deal with themselves when they shut their doors, or when they're standing in front of the mirror in their loo, how they talk to themselves. You don't know. We don't
So
know
what?
that. So no. It really affects the emotion. That's why we came for mental health. We're not talking just about how hard you are. We're talking about mental health. Does that being hard all the time affects your mental health or not?
Do you think they did not raise good families?
Oh, so okay. Let's go on to this. Define what is a good family.
No, let's hear it.
No, I'm talking to you. You asked a question. Tell me, what is a good family?
I'm going to give you a scenario which you won't like.
Why not?
Because it might not be a scenario which you don't agree with.
So what? Just keep it on the table?
It's a simple Indian family, right? Something which has seen bare adversity when they were growing up. Nothing to eat, nothing to even wear, right?
Right.
We all have those ancestors, yaar.
Right.
We do, right?
Right.
Because India mein means nahi the, yaar. They came from a time where some of them were even born in refugee camps, yaar.
Yeah.
Grandparents, they were like that,
Yeah.
right? They saw that ये पता है कि अगली रोटी की कीमत क्या है यार.
Right.
और बाय द वे घर में वही होता था, फैमिली प्लानिंग और ये सब तो कुछ ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं था, 5-6 बच्चे होते थे एंड दे वुड फाइट फॉर दोज रोटीज यार. There were situations like that, and I have heard those situations and stories in my family for so many years. When you hear such stories, you do break down a little bit inside, but then you're like, okay, I'm sorry, this has been the bitter truth in my family before, so I need to respect this more. I need to understand what my privilege is. And by the way, a lot of people say we don't recognize our privilege. Our ancestors have taught us nothing but privilege only. The pure definition of it. That you are entitled to this. बधाई हो तुम्हारे पास है, हमारे पास नहीं था यार. So they've raised us by those examples. I don't have a lot of examples to tell my kids because my life has been a very, very, very comfortable growing up sort of a life. My parents have raised me in a very, very comfortable situation. यार कोई टेंशन ही नहीं है. Dad ये चाहिए, okay. माँ ये चाहिए, okay, right? I am somebody with means. My life has been touchwood very, 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 very helpful, right? मेरे को कोई challenge नहीं है. My kids are going to have it better, right? But there were challenges when it came to understanding what my failures were.
Right.
Where I was not adept in my certain situations.
That's where.
But that's where I built it, right? Because my father taught me how to do it, yaar.
Taught you. That's emotional.
He didn't sit down with me to give me solutions.
Or he was leading by example, whichever way he was doing it. Leading by
He
example.
didn't have by the way, he never came for our school PTMs, yaar. I don't regret it.
Okay.
He didn't have the time.
Okay.
Right? I don't put the blame on him. Today, a father doesn't go to a PTM. First of all,
Are you telling me you're living the dream of your life and there is no problem in your life? Is there no challenges in your life? Is there
challenges? Yes.
Yes.
I overcome them.
Okay, great. Are there some places where you would need help?
I'm saying my father was not there for the PTMs. पहले समझ यार बात को. And I don't regret it. And I don't blame him because I understand he didn't have the time.
Which direction are we going? I'm not understanding the question.
I'm talking about parenthood यार. तू अगर उसी से आज compare करोगे, you talk about the same parenting styles today. It's not acceptable.
Why? Because times evolve and we have to evolve with times.
Times don't evolve, people evolve. Times are the same.
No, times evolve. As in the generations evolve, we evolve, people evolve, times have changed, everything has changed.
Expectations have evolved, yeah.
So why not? Well, they shouldn't be?
Why should they? I don't understand.
Why?
Simple बात बता मुझे. When we were growing up, like I said, my dad was not there for my PTMs.
Right.
If I don't go to the PTMs for my kids, first of all, I'm going to have it from my wife. Then I'm going to have it from my mother. Then I'm going to have it from my daughter now. ठीक है, अभी none of these three will think that I don't have the time. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But when the school puts a PTM on a weekday, they are telling they don't want the father there. It's simple. And by the way, it could be true for the mother as well because everybody's working now, right? One of us has to do it.
Right.
So we divide jobs.
Right.
Now, if my kid grows up and says, you never came to my PTM because I'm giving her this right.
Now, there comes a very important technique here, and I coin it as communications. How are you communicating your needs to somebody else, and how are you accepting the needs that they are talking about? When a child comes to the father and says, you were never there for my PTMs. Oh, okay, I never realized it was that important for you. And plus, can we sit down and talk first of all? If this is something which is bothering you so much, let's sit down and talk about it. Because he's coming with agitation, he's coming with frustration, he's coming with, oh, you were not there. What about it is bothering you, Ram? Let's talk about it. You're expecting them to understand that I was not having time. How are they supposed to understand?
That's not the expectation there.
Okay. Then
the expectation is not for my child to understand that I didn't have it.
Okay.
The expectation is that for my child to understand that, yes, like I understood it for my father. Please and samjho.
No, that doesn't happen, sir.
It can happen, sir.
No.
Why not?
Because see, every individual is different.
It doesn't happen because my mother treated me and told me that, listen, this is the shortcoming.
Okay.
He cannot be there. I am coming there.
Okay.
Pehle samjho, right?
All right.
That is what I'm saying. This can still be applied in today's
Who
world.
defines?
Then nothing can be defined at all.
No, who
in any
defines
case.
mean?
The moment we ask this question, everything is wrong and everything is right.
No.
Then
Who
it's
defines
each
is
individual's opinion.
We are saying there's going to be a generalized rule across the borders that needs to be followed. We are not giving everyone a chance to say and feel things. Like the school has put a rule. Any one parent can come in, right? For a PTM. Now, either you communicate or your wife communicates, or you both sit down with your children, you clean the table, you make that understanding happen, and you move forward. Who's stopping you for that? That's exactly what your mom did with you, right?
Yeah, she managed expectations.
So exactly what I'm saying. So that is where the problem is.
That is what I said. It can happen even today, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. Who defines? There's so many.
The society defines it. I'm sorry.
How?
The society defines it in a way where it says, the man and the woman play an equal role in that parenthood.
Right.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But that equal roles definition now is that the dad has to be there everywhere. You can't get out of things. The definition.
I disagree.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah, because there is
many women do.
No, because when we say equal doesn't mean it has to be same. Right? Equal doesn't mean same. Equal means, okay, you are out there doing an X amount of a thing 100% of the time. I'm covering up for this. But yes, there will be days when I don't want to do it. So I want you to chip in. Let's do it. So that's equal. When we say equal is partnership.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So that comes communication. That's what I'm saying.
No, that comes with a fight.
So I see that you're having a fight with your wife on that.
No.
And
it comes with an argument. Later on says, okay, you know what? Mere bacche nahi hai sirf. You know what I mean? And it's fine.
Again, that's what I'm saying. I've been saying it from the time you started speaking. Is communication, right? Now, the rules that were defined very, very across the borders when our parents were growing up, mothers are always going to raise the children, the father goes out to work. Now that has been challenged because a woman is also working, a father is also working. They both have to nurture the kids together. They both have to raise their families together. They both have to contribute to home together. They have other responsibilities that to do together. The roles are different now, and that needs understanding. It is not set on stone, and that understanding needs communication, which not many people know how to communicate. And that's where argument leads to fight, and fight leads to ego, and ego leads to, okay, now we have this wall which we call as boundary, but it is a rock boundary where we don't see each other at all. This is a place we disagree completely. You go your way, I go my way. We have anger, we are burning in anger, we are burning in frustration, we don't want to look at each other, and that's mental health. That's mental health. It started where? Sitting across the table and talking, and we're still expecting what my parents did. यार ये वैसी क्यों नहीं बन जाती, ये वैसा क्यों नहीं बन जाता?
Do you think
अक्ल नहीं है, तमीज नहीं है, common sense नहीं है, यही सारी सोच तो हमें खाती है.
Do you think millennials? Do you think millennials are better today, EQ wise, than their parents?
Again, I will not comment on it because it's a very generalized. How do you generalize? So many. Again,
many discussions.
I'm going to stay put at one thing. Rishabh here, hang in there,
Let
because you talk.
Question.
No, I'm going to talk about every.
This is arising from what you said.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, let me complete my question. With all the information that we have today, at fingertips, screens, whatever, at our disposal whenever we want, with so many opinions out there, with so many podcasts we are listening to, so many TEDx talks we are listening to, so many books we are reading, so many resources out there. Do you think with all that knowledge, the millennials today have better EQ compared to the generation before?
I'm glad you used the word knowledge. Knowledge defines what? IQ, not EQ. All right?
Is an emotional quotient a knowledge of your emotions as well?
Emotions of the knowledge. We're talking up how much are they consuming that data? How much are they aware? How much are they imbibing? How much are they integrating? Individual. That's where I was answering. It is a situation is that this is where, there are people who struggle with this because there are generalized ideas that are floating. And they say, why is this not happening? This is a right. Whenever you go into a right and wrong, should, would, and could, your life is a poison.
You did not answer my question.
I'm coming there. And if you ask me a question that's so much in your fingertips, everything comes with consequences. They have their own. There is going to be no generation which is without challenges. Having so much information, you don't know what to make of it also so many times.
Fine.
Okay, so here we stand. It's again depending on who is consuming it, how much they're consuming it, what their environment looks like, where they're headed, what their needs are, what their
Then
goals
you didn't
are.
answer my question. But
Which question? Say that again to me if I didn't answer.
okay, I'm gonna ask you the follow-up now.
Okay.
We are millennials, right?
Right.
Do you think Gen Z has it better?
Okay.
EQ-wise?
I answered your question. You're asking me a generalized question here. That does Gen Z has a better EQ than our parents or anyone else?
No. I'm basically trying to draw out a very simple fact here.
Right.
We have a lot of knowledge out there.
Right.
We have a lot of resources out there.
Right.
We have a lot of professionals out there. We
Right.
have a lot of avenues, resources, money to dispose to learn and use those resources.
Exactly. Learn and use.
Use those resources. Seek help in whatever way.
Right.
Something as medical as physical health, something as medical as mental health, which is a scientifically proven and backed by science sort of a thing. And then also those other pseudosciences people these days refer to. We find it easier to go to a tarot card reader than a psychologist. But anyhow, that's another topic. But all these resources at hand, I think the next generations would be sorted, right? To communicate their emotions better.
There were resources that were available in its own way in the prior times, and there are resources available now. We are hoping that they utilize all of that in a right way and they benefit themselves so the next generation is better, is the hope here. Okay, how? Billions of population, the number is in billions, and we are trying to generalize it and say, now that we have everything, seems like it's all simple, let's go for it. What are we talking about? And each individual is an entirely different universe, separate from another one, and we're trying to pool it all in one club. How? Is my question. We are hoping that the resources are available to you. Please choose, and that is what the data that you guys make. We do say that. Please consume the right data, know your limits, know your boundaries, know all of these things, and we are hoping that that's why we're taking all the measures, be it in school, be it in families, be it in society. We're trying to talk about all of these things. That go for it. Go and make your life better. It's on your fingertips. Now, how they use it, there's so much data for distraction also that they are struggling with. When they hear it, they're convinced with it. Oh, my hair should look like this. Oh, I need to throw a party like this. Oh, I need to do this like this. Oh, I need to have X amount of friends and followers. They have their set of challenges as well. It's not as rosy that, oh, I've given you all of this money, go utilize it. No, evolution doesn't happen like this. Now you have it all. Come on, you have it all. No, it takes time. It takes a lot of permutations and combinations. That's what I'm saying. If we're hoping it will go in the right direction because we have a lot more resources on our fingertips versus to our parents. Of course, I don't deny. How many of us are utilizing it in the right way for our benefit and the benefit of the society? That's a question to ask.
Do we care as individuals for society? But anyhow, that's another question. Coming back to Mard Ka Dard, because you didn't answer either of those questions to me. I respect your opinion and you're right.
No,
you're right.
I answered. I think you were not ready to hear
I am.
Yeah, so let's ask the question again. I want to answer it. What's the question? And try to compact your question. All right? So I'm able to answer it.
Fair enough. With everything that we know today, everything that we can put into words today, everything that we can write about today or have written about or have read and understood those things, what is the progress that you see? What is the achievement that you see has happened in the society towards just understanding self-awareness and EQ. That's all. Towards these two things, do you see a change
I
in the
answered
last
this.
15 years?
Yes, that's what I said. That when I was in India, nobody was ready to even pay a counselor when I was doing an internship under a counselor. And today I see a huge difference. And I said that in every home, there is one person who wants to say, I want to become a counselor. I want to study because it's human mind, it's human brain, it's human psychology, it's human everything. I want to do counseling. I want to learn counseling.
The question wasn't about there being more counselors or there being more people willing to go to counselors and take help. The question was improvement.
There is. That's what I'm answering. The awareness. You said, is there an awareness enough in people about...
No.
Okay, so say your question again.
So I said with knowing that all that we know, writing that all that we've written, having read what people have written and understanding
About
what?
What?
Everything about therapy.
Okay.
Everything about mental health.
Okay.
Emotional quotient.
Yes.
In the last 15 years of your experience, would you say that people are emotionally better aware now when they are, let's say, better able to actually seek out help, and there's lesser stigma as we go forward? Of course, there's still lots to be done, whatnot. But do you see progress in terms of people?
100%. I said 100%. I said this when I started. I see a huge difference in how people perceive, first of all, mental health, and also how they feel about themselves. When I talk to individuals, be it a small child to an adult, how they articulate their question and how they speak in terms of, I'm going through this and I'm feeling this, or this is how I have been feeling over a week, has increased dramatically of what I couldn't have ever imagined would happen in my lifetime in terms of counseling and therapy.
Right.
That's where we started a conversation, that even a small little child who's in the third grade is having lectures on mental health. When she comes back home, she says, Mama, this is what my counselor told. This is what I figured out about myself. I know these many strengths about me now. I know this is my weakness. I'm working on my weakness. This is what I need. This word need, boundaries. Do you know, every school we go to, we talk about boundaries, and people know and they use this terminology in their houses very commonly now. Hey, don't break my boundary. I really don't want to do this now.
Yeah.
Anger management classes happen. People are getting aware about what their temperament is. Is it more passive? Is it more aggressive? How is it? How they can improve? It has drastically changed.
Do you think people throw around the word depression and anxiety in a very loose manner?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely does. Depression
What
is
is
more
the,
clinical.
What is the proper way to communicate?
So to be said, as you're going through depression, you need to go to a psychiatrist who will diagnose you. It's a clinical diagnosis that needs to be made. You could be really feeling sad and low. That's the right term. So many. It's because our vocabulary. That's what I'm saying. The vocabulary of emotions is so limited. It's so limited. We might be feeling very irritated, but we'll say we're angry. You know, instead of feeling jealous, we put the blame on somebody else. So we use terminologies not correctly. You know, if you have patience, if you understand, if you learn, if you go with, then you would know what you're going through, and your life always has to be in terms of I feel irritated when this happens. I feel this when this happens. That's where relationship starts building, because you're taking responsibility of what you're feeling rather than blaming it outside.
That's fair. Absolutely. Is calling someone too emotional okay?
Absolutely. Like, see, too emotional is... See, I can't stop somebody from being too emotional or less emotional.
You know what I mean?
But I understand. So what I'm trying to say is, I have a friend. He's about a 45-year-old, and he cries.
Okay.
And I love that about him. I encourage him. Like, you know, there is really no person I know, you know, including my own dad or my brother. My brother is still vulnerable than my dad, but who would just say, you know, I'm just so upset and the tears are rolling out. As human as that. There's no definition to it. It's who defines what is over emotional. And if there's somebody who is really over emotional, means they're not able to handle emotions, and we need to support them. for that. So I am not going to be defining is it okay or not okay for being somebody to be emotions, to having those emotions or not. It's how you're managing it. And if you need help, there is help. That's about it.
Absolutely. So my dad was robbed and shot in 2014 August. Okay? He left behind a business which was running. Because we got up at 8, came to work at 9, went back by 8 or 9 every day. And being a business, being run by somebody for 30-35 years, एकदम से वो इंसान अब वहाँ नहीं है, तो उसके challenges आते हैं.
बिल्कुल आते हैं.
So अब वो जो challenges आते हैं, अब हम day to day paperwork, courts, banks, whatnot, GST, then what was it? Demonetization, new GST laws, everything sort of happened in those years. Every day there was a new challenge and every day we were facing it. Somehow that actually was a blessing. It got us out of the entire, it didn't give us enough time for us to sit down and mourn our dad. You know what I mean? And 10 years, August 29th को 10 साल हो जाएंगे.
See, mourning your dad
You
isn't...
know what I mean?
I do. And you know,
So
this is the right...
That trouble or that challenge or taking it head on or just keep, just moving on and keep on doing what we were doing, it's never reduced the emptiness that is there without him. But it kept us going and it has made us stronger and stronger, physically, emotionally, mentally.
You took it on. You were thrown in the waters and you learned to swim.
Exactly.
And that worked for you.
Right.
And that's great. But does that mean that that's the only way everyone else will also function? Billion, the number of billions in population, you're thinking
Fine.
everyone can?
We had 3 different personalities, my mother, my brother and me. We're all very different people.
Right.
Each one took it in a different way.
Exactly.
But the
It
weight
worked.
of the things that we were carrying and the moving wheel itself sort of kept us going.
So
You know
now
what I
I'll
mean?
talk to you about a very important
So
thing
that
here.
is why I was referring about stoicism.
Yeah.
Being stoic.
Sometimes
being
it
mentally
works.
tough.
Like I said, mentally tough again is a word. Is when we use mentally tough, मुझे कितना भी मार लो मुझे कोई दर्द नहीं हो रहा, और मारो मुझे और दर्द नहीं हो रहा, मुझे और कैसे बॉडी पे मार रहे हैं, दर्द तो हो रहा है, तुम दिखा नहीं रहे हो, तुम सप्रेस कर रहे हो. किसी को जब तो वो आइडिया नहीं है. Idea is of resilience. You could manage कि my dad is not here now, I have to do it. Means I have to do it. We'll figure this out. So your logic and your emotion went balanced, bang on, and you did it. There are times when I know of a person who's been working in a group of people, like a father worked, 2 brothers, and he worked together. And the father passed away. Okay? They were elder brothers who were taking on, and then they started to say division कर लेते हैं, अपना segment करते हैं, okay? And now जब वो अपना segment की बात आई, today he's suffering from schizophrenia or psychosis because of the simple fact he couldn't take it, he doesn't know it, and there was a sudden identity crisis. So everyone takes it differently. Sometimes just being tough doesn't help, and sometimes just being emotional doesn't help. It is a very person. That's why therapy is not a math. It is about 2 people talking. The solution that will be for a person A will not be a solution for a person B at all.
You won't like what I'm going to say next.
Say.
You won't like it.
It doesn't matter whether I like it or not.
I think the recognition of, and I'm sorry for the lack of a better, I wish I had better vocabulary. The recognition of your sad state makes you think that you are, it puts you in deeper waters sometimes.
Not at all.
Especially in a challenging situation, not in a day-to-day life. आप समझो मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ.
Example?
Day-to-day life being कि यार, why can't I relate with my friends? Why? These basic challenges, right? Which are challenges, can be solved with a third person's perspective. But a bigger challenge, like overcoming loss, sudden financial crisis. Everything was fine, but you made a huge loss. You don't know how to bounce back. Now you're in debt. People suffer. You can see the physical change in their appearances in like 6 months.
Right.
When they're back on, you can see it again.
Absolutely.
Right? Those things do take a toll on you, right?
Right.
But sometimes when you give yourself that option of sitting down and feeling the entire burden of it and the entire weight of your trouble on your shoulders, it buries you.
Of course.
And that is what I'm refraining from. That is what,
How long?
That is what I'm not refraining from myself personally. That is what I suggest is not a great
For how
idea
long?
sometimes.
You see, when people go for war, or they're warriors and army people, when they go, they fight not for a lifetime. They fight for a while. They relax.
That is what my
they
point
think.
is.
So that's absolutely normal. I'm not saying emotions and therapy needs to be done every single day. Ab roz, agar aap roz baith
You were
ke,
talking about men going to war, by the way. Mental toughness is one part of their training.
mental toughness, again, resilience
mental-
or mental toughness, whichever way you want. Because
Yeah.
see, the definition of mental toughness for many people is very, very different. That's why I'm saying resilience and also strong-headedness. You have to put your logic. When logic has to be put, logic has to be put. When emotions have to be put, emotions have to be put. And when both have to be balanced, both have to be balanced. And that depends upon the person and the situation.
Yeah.
Correct? Now, when you're going through loss, now when a person dies in your family, you don't just grieve, you're doing 100 other things also. You're doing your preparations, you're doing things, you're telling people to come, you're also grieving, you're also doing, you're also grieving, you're also doing. You have to get up. What do you do?
Pick and choose the problems.
What?
So you complete what you
Yeah, so when you're, like you said, your dad passed away and you had to come and sit and work.
Yeah.
Right? You had to do that. Now, there are some people who will just feel it more and they're not choosing it. Sometimes it just goes right in you and maybe your thoughts take over and they don't know how to navigate. They want to go to work. They're like, this is troubling me. This is troubling me and this is burying me and I don't know why I'm not feeling motivated. Maybe the pressures of life has gotten too much on me. Maybe I'm not able to do it any further. I want to do it, but I can't do it. Now let's figure this out together is what I'm talking. When you need it, you don't go to doctor every single day. It's only when you have aches and pains and you want to investigate deeper is when you go, and then you have your general checkup after every 6 months that you go for, just to keep your body in check. I'm talking about all of that. It is not that if there is no therapist, you will not be able to live in your life. No, our bodies, our brains are designed to survive, to find a way.
And
that's
to
how
heal.
we evolve. It's absolutely normal.
And to heal.
And to heal also, it requires time. Sometimes just sitting, like you said, the solitude worked for you.
Yeah.
Might be it doesn't work for somebody. They went for solitude to experiment and oh my God, there's something opened up in their life and they're unable to manage, need to talk about it to somebody. And they're like, this is too big for me.
Absolutely.
Right? And you go and talk. That's where we are talking. I'm not saying it's mandatory for everyone to go at every single point of time in their life to go and sit next to a therapist. Not at all.
I don't mean that. I'm just...
Not at all. But I'm saying that, there's so many areas of your life, like you're talking about your dad, you're mentally tough, you could sail through. But there'll be other areas of your life where your mental toughness is not allowing you to sail through. You need more skill. Maybe more sorting out in your perceptions. And when I say emotions, it's not always sad, happy, joy, irritation, anger. I'm talking about perceptions too. What thoughts you carry around a certain thing. Where are these thoughts coming from? What is the importance to it? How is it stopping you? How is it making you expand? What is the other alternative ways we can look at it? What resources do you have that can help you? There is a lot of those kind of questions that we
But there's
ask.
also choosing to address what emotion you want to address, right? This is a very interesting question. And in fact, I'll be honest, I don't know if the question is well put to you or not, but I'm just going to put it out there if you can choose to answer it. It says the top 1% of Indians, they hold 40% of the wealth in India. Remaining 60% wealth is held by the 99% population. Now, when we say that time is evolved, right? Time is evolved for people who can afford the evolution to be emotionally intelligent. Hear me out. But what about the time evolution of the lower middle class? They still have to go through the mard ko dard nahi hota, because majorly only the man in the family is working. They can't be sad or have space to be depressed like it's loosely thrown around. How can they sort things out? What is their alternative of therapy?
Okay, great. Very good question, Radha. And I never denied that there are times, even as a woman, and I'm also working, and I'm a therapist, and plus I have different businesses.
Yeah.
And as you were talking about being an entrepreneur yourself, there are challenges thrown to me every single day. And those are challenges like money, debts, everything. Yeah, this contract, if it doesn't happen, it's going. I have to pay the salaries of my employees, and I have to do things. At that point of time, I'm not sitting there and thinking, अब मुझे क्या लग रहा है, मुझे frustration हो रही है, मुझे irritation. Though I'm aware, and I'm regulating while I'm talking to my employees, while I'm brainstorming, while I'm thinking for other alternatives, and I'm looking out for what I can do next to make things stop right here. So I'm balancing both out. Now, there would be times when a situation like this is thrown to somebody and they just throw anger all around. They're like calling names to their employees. They're unable to regulate. A phone rings and
because it's out of their control.
It's out of their control. That's where I'm talking emotional regulation, that you have to be aware what you are doing. It isn't always about feeling sadness. You know, when we talk about emotion, that's what I'm saying. Why do men don't want to feel emotions? Because they think it's emotion means sadness. पहले बैठ जाओ, sadness. Therapy में जा रहे हैं, sadness. Therapy has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. You want to grow from an A point to a B point, and you're looking for how. Maybe it is in relationships, maybe it's in your personal growth, maybe it's in your financial growth, maybe it's whatsoever.
Yeah.
I want to have better sleep. I wake up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with emotions. We can dig deeper and see what's been really troubling you. What stresses are you going through? Or is it something that, you know, your body hormones are going through? X, Y, and Z reasons could be
But the question was very
I'm
different.
coming to that. I'm talking about now coming to, because I started with mental fitness is a word that I would use. Now when he talks about people who are not having as much wealth, all right? And life is not easy, all right? Every day is a challenge. What do? Right? Now, everyday challenges को ही manage करना ही emotional mental health हम बोलते हैं. ऐसा नहीं है, पहली बात तो, कि those people who are sitting there, number one, जिनके पास enough resources financially नहीं है, means उनके ऊपर इतना hardship है कि warrior spirit रखो. I have been to families who are working for us rather, and I know their entire family, they're happy people. The way they converse while they're having 2 वक्त का खाना, एक दूसरे से जिस तरीके से बात कर रहे हैं, एंड गिविंग एग्जांपल फॉर आइसक्रीम वाला. ओके, आई वाज इन द नाइट, 10 बजे रात के, हम गाड़ी से जा रहे हैं, मन की आइसक्रीम खानी है, उसको बोला दे दे भैया. उसने एक स्टिक निकाली हाथ में से, वो बीच में टूटी हुई थी. कहता मैडम ये लास्ट ही है जो मुझे, आई डोंट रिमेंबर, आई थिंक आई वाज आस्किंग फॉर अ चोको बार और समथिंग, तो बीच में से टूटी हुई है मैम, आप रहने दीजिए. अब एक आइसक्रीम वाला, उसको क्या था, बेचता, मैंने तो देखना भी नहीं था, उसको पैसे देने थे. दिस रिफ्लेक्ट, ही वाज स्माइलिंग. And I've been to a blind school where I was going and donating things, and we had chocolates and chips के packet to give to the kids. Okay, I had extra. मैं एक बच्चे के पास गई, मैंने उसको दोबारा देने की कोशिश करी. You know what he said to me? नहीं, मेरा हो गया मैम. I have what I needed.
Yeah.
Do you know? So see, this is what I'm talking about.
That's
irrespective happiness, integrity की बिना मैम बड़े अच्छे से उसने बोला मैम मेरा हो गया. And it reflected that irrespective of you being blind, you talking like that. And I'm not talking, so challenges will be different for each one of us. It is nothing to be defined with financials. It has nothing to do with that. Now the second question to it is कि जिसके पास resources, मतलब पैसा देके थेरेपिस्ट के पास जाने को पैसा नहीं है, तो हमारी गवर्नमेंट ने फ्री कॉल्स रखी हैं. प्लीज लुक इनटू दैट. आप गूगल पे जाके देखिए, they have these lines, these counselors sitting for you. Make that call happen. And you are, I have an NGO that I work with, and we go to villages and we talk about emotional health. I was amazed. I was amazed when I spoke to those women. And there's this woman I remember, and she was standing next to the window. कहती मैम मुझे घबराहट होती रहती है. See how she's talking to me. घबराहट होती रहती है. उसको माइक पकड़ने में इशू हो रहा था, बिकॉज हम माइक सर्कुलेट कर रहे थे कि चलो बात करते हैं इसके बारे में. एंड हमने माइक सर्कुलेट किया, सिर्फ माइक नहीं, मैम मुझे किस चीज़ की घबराहट होती है, क्यों हो रही है, पता नहीं मैम, पता होती रहती है. उसको हमने और डिक किया, कहते हैं यार मेरे को मेरी फ्रेंड्स की बड़ी घबराहट होती है कि मेरे घर में कुछ चल रहा हो, मैं इनको आके बोलूँगी और ये मुझे जज ना कर लें, तो मुझे बहुत घबराहट होती रहती है. सो ऐसा नहीं है. इमोशनल हेल्थ, इमोशनल वेलबींग आपका रिस्ट्रिक्टेड नहीं है. हम ह्यूमंस हैं.
एनीबडी एल्स शी टेल्स दिस टू,
वो मजाक करेंगे,
ब्लड वर्क चेक करा ले, ब्लड टेस्ट करा ले, ये चेक करा ले, फिजियोलॉजी चेक करेंगे.
ये आप विलेजेस की बात कर रहे हो, तो वहाँ पर तो पहले होता है कि पता नहीं पागल हो रही है. वहाँ पर तो रिलीजन की फॉलोइंग अलग होती है, तो वहाँ पर टबूज अलग तरीके से दिखते हैं दैन इन अर्बन एरियाज. जहाँ पर हम बोल रहे हैं गो फॉर अ ब्लड चेकअप, गो टू अ डॉक्टर, गो डू दिस, यू नो, ऑल ऑफ दैट. But I'm just saying normalizing it. जैसे हम खुले में बोलते हैं ना, go to a doctor, get a blood work done, go to a therapist, go talk, see what if there is something that needs to be resolved. Let's resolve, get over with it, let's move on in our life more happily.
Yeah.
So financial, अब जो लोग अगर ऐसा होता जिसके पास इतनी wealth है, तो इसका मतलब तो वो तो सबसे ज़्यादा sorted होने चाहिए थे. पर उन सबके पास personal coaches हैं, उन सबके पास personal counselors हैं. They are every single day. I have worked with Bollywood myself. I've been a counselor to many. And almost every single day, I have counseled them because there are issues. Because there is a persona they have to portray out in the world, and this man just calls me up and says, "I'm jittery." And if I can't say the name, but I'm saying these are big names. You know, I'm jittery. My hands are sweaty. I'm going through I just had a big fight with my wife. Why don't she understand what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with money. Your emotions have nothing to do with money. Like, you know, अगर ऐसा होता तो जो लोग के पास बहुत पैसा है फिर तो प्यार खरीदा जाता ना, फिर तो रात की नींद खरीदी जाती. ऐसा नहीं होता है. स्ट्रेस है उनको भी, बहुत स्ट्रेस है बिजनेसेस का. लाइक द वे यू आर सेइंग, एक एंटरप्रेन्योर का अपना स्ट्रेस है, उनका इतना बड़ा बिजनेस चल रहा है, उसका स्ट्रेस तो 10 टाइम्स है. उसका स्ट्रेस तो 10 टाइम्स है. सो दे आर वर्किंग ऑन इट. दे आर वर्किंग ऑन देयर मेंटल हेल्थ.
Last 2 bits.
Yeah. Sure.
I've written down something else as well. So something like relationship dynamics, love, marriage, separation, bad breakup, ugly divorce. They're all such events, but are such events in our life, in our control? They're not.
Nothing.
Right? Can we learn to handle such situations or moments better?
Of course, 100%. 100%. That's what it's all about.
But
life skills. The more skilled you are for life.
But usually, when people actually come for help, it's post the
Exactly.
event.
Because we have not normalized that it's okay to just go for a talk to your therapist.
So then in a way, it sort of seems like that you need to prep for life emotionally while growing up. Don't you think?
Yeah.
It's sort of...
That's where I'm
it's
coming.
Sort of like a skill
that you have to develop. It's not about मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता. मर्द भी तो इंसान है यार. उसको हमने इतना बड़ा बर्डन जो दे देते हैं ना कि तू दर्द फील करेगा तो तेरी सारी फैमिली को, जो आप लीडर की बात कर रहे थे, कि एक लीडर को अगर वो बैठ जाए 2 मिनट सोचने के लिए, दिस इज माई टाइम टू थिंक. 1 घंटा मेरे को थोड़ा उदास होने का बनता है यार. आई लॉस्ट समबडी इन माई फैमिली. आई जस्ट वांट टू सिट एंड थिंक अबाउट व्हाट हैपेंड. What's wrong with that? It doesn't mean I'm depressed. It doesn't mean I'm sad. Emotions is also happiness. Emotions is also joy. There are so many times this is emotional. All of this is emotions. Managing emotions. I've seen people who are like constantly laughing, constantly smiling, or hyper positive. And there is neglect to that aspect also. It affects your life, right? You're not able to see, you can't make better decisions when it comes to decision making in your work. You can't. You've not calculated enough. And I know people like such.
Yeah.
And I've seen men like such. And I've seen men who have been very, very, you know, they feel from heart, they talk from heart, and they're the best people to be around, irrespective of their man. Their logic is active. You know, which is gender, you know, so much of gender roles have killed it. It's taken us decades for a woman to come out and say, I also have a masculine logical side to me and I can express it while I go to work, or I have an opinion.
Sure.
Why can't a man say that, hey, I need a break, I'm going through something? And that's going through something. Emotions doesn't mean it's going to weigh you down. There are trillions. There's 34,000 emotions an individual can feel in a lifetime.
You go and watch any sort of video on mental health. You go, and in the month of June, the Instagram is flooded with it. You see any sort of a talk on men's mental health. You see any sort of a short clip on any sort of an advice there. Don't watch the video. Just go to the comments. 80% of the comments by men down there, they say, but bhai, sun kaun raha hai?
Exactly. मैं तो बोल रही हूँ सुन कौन रहा है. यही तो हमें बिल्ड करना है.
कि भाई तू रोना चाह रहा है, या तू बोलना चाह रहा है, या तू एक्सप्रेस करना चाह रहा है, किसको पड़ी है?
किसको पड़ी है? नहीं. सो अब हमें यहीं पर आना है. पड़ी सबको है. क्यों है कि फिर अगर ऐसा होता कि मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता तो सुसाइड रेट इतना हाई क्यों होता?
Those facts.
Those facts are talking and are shaking our
That is the
belief
video I'm talking
system. I'm saying that's shaking our belief system to rethink, to re-evaluate जो हम आज तक सोचते आए हैं. Is there another side to it? Do we need to sit down, re-evaluate and rethink about it and normalize saying, so what? मर्द को भी दर्द होता है. I am also
होता है.
होता है तो होता है. A woman has a liberty. I would say today is time to cry. Why can't a man? If a man can have a liberty to have an opinion and use his logical side, why can't a woman? We are first human than anything else.
Yeah.
Men are better nurses today. Men are better cooks today. Men are doing so much better today. Why are we not ready to acknowledge it? It's the elephant standing in the room. They can be the best dads, best nurturers. We need to accept and we all need to talk about it. So what?
Yeah.
We're first human than anything else. No role, nothing. No gender, no religion, nothing. First, we're all human. We all are allowed to feel our emotions. That's a basic human right.
I think there's still a long way to go for us to not see gender and all these things.
Of course.
And
we normalize. See, there are people struggling to it.
There are some people out there who don't see gender, who don't see color, who don't see anything.
And that is the change. Those are the change makers.
Yeah, there's some people out there and they're like, there's such a fresh breath of air.
Exactly.
It's so
Isn't it what we're wanting in our life that nobody's judging me?
Yeah.
We're all.
That's the safest space you can live in, right?
मर्द को दर्द होता है because I have clients as men who come and talk so emotionally like I'm talking to a woman literally, but they can't say that. They can बोल किसको बोलूँगा तो कोई judge ना करे. So the point is of judgment. Not the question is not कि मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, मर्द को दर्द होता है, but दिखाऊं किसको, बोलूं किसको और पढ़ी भी किसको है. क्या तुम्हारे खुद के घर वाले accept? Exactly. मैं यही question बोल रही हूँ कि क्या girls भी prepared हैं to take on that if my man is going to cry. I know how to embrace it.
Maybe few are. Imagine a situation where...
So it's a change required for both.
Yeah,
a woman to accept a man who can show and reveal his emotions, and a man to have the courage in today's time to say, I have emotions and I'm expressing it. And these are just emotions. I'm just talking about it and I need an empathetic ear to listen. Are you there for me? Is it okay for you?
Okay. Very, very well put. I completely concur on that today, by the way. Imagine a situation where you're making those friends on that Sunday in that cafe, where there's no judgment. Imagine the entire society out there just being like that. अब वो 4 लोगों के साथ बैठ के वो जो थेरेपी लग रही है आपको या थेरेप्यूटिक लग रहा है वो सेशन. That's a lie.
That's a lie. And I know people, I know men. इतना टफ दिखेंगे, काम भी बिल्कुल सही कर रहे हैं, and like the way you're saying, support group. मैंने उनके support group में देखा where they can loosen out. And there was this one time this man said, sitting in front of me, and every time I thought, he's putting up a very tough face. He said, yeah, my childhood wasn't easy. Sometimes it troubles me.
Yeah.
And he said that. And he just said it. He just expressed it right there in that support group. As though said friends, but support group in a way and therapeutic in nature. But as soon as that space got revealed, he opened up. So ये question कि मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, ये तो ना biologically, ना आपके emotionally, ना आपके किसी भी तरीके से prove हो सकता है. ये एक
statement. मैं बोलना नहीं चाह रहा था एक बात. And I think I should not fear away from saying that. Whenever you put a situation like you said, right? I think it stems from expectation. It stems from this expectation from a man to आज की सोसाइटी में अभी ये बोलूँगा to be a provider तो लोग गाली भी देंगे मुझे.
But है सच्चाई आज भी है कि वो अभी भी हो रहा है.
And that's the expectation. So a man sitting at home and the woman going out and earning money and being the provider of the family is still not acceptable. And let me complete this. A man will never leave a woman who's not working, but a woman would probably not respect a man who's not working.
Correct.
Even today.
Correct.
And जब मैं ये बोलता हूँ किसी से, majority, especially in a group of people, guys and girls, all there, I get so much backlash saying, you have it easy. What's your complaint? I'm sorry. Try being a woman. And by the way, that's not a competition with women.
Yeah.
That's acknowledging the troubles of a woman.
That's acknowledging a fact.
Yes, I understand. You have your troubles. But ये जो expectation है, that in itself is a stereotype. Saying that only a man has to be the wage earner and the woman has to be the provider taking care of the family. The moment somebody says, okay, तुम बच्चे संभालो, मैं बाहर जाके काम करूंगा. आज के ज़माने में the moment somebody says तुम बच्चे संभालो, there is that first backlash saying तुम भी संभालो. And when that same thing is expected in that reverse order, saying okay, you go be the earner, I'll take care of it. Maybe one in like 10,000 is true, like not generalizing anything, but आज वो expectation अभी भी इंसान आदमी से नहीं है कि yes, you can do that. You have that choice.
Yes.
I keep joking with my wife saying कि काम कर, you're getting an option for Australia, just go, I'll follow you. तू काम कर लेना, मैं घर देख लूँगा. Right? Podcasting करनी है, Sundays को कर लूँगा. I'll do it. But it's never taken seriously. Even I'm not taking it seriously. It's just a joke. But what if it was true? It would never be accepted. That is one challenge. Have you ever watched, by the way?
So let me answer to that
Please.
before we digress. Is again, I know of 2 families right now where the women are earning and men are not.
Nice.
Okay, and not because of various reasons. See, when women were not earning and were taking care of children, I'm not sure if they were emotionally and mentally balanced, okay? Because just managing children, it doesn't give you satisfaction entirely, all right? And when we say that, is because at that point of time, the opportunities for women to go out, even for that matter, prioritizing their education wasn't there. Today, there is there and they're exercising it. And now comes with that is a change of that if a man, now these 2 families I'm talking about, firstly, it's healthy for everyone to work. Number one, everyone has a skill. We need to develop it. We need to get out there. It's a healthy lifestyle. If you are not stepping out and you're not working, you're not interacting with the society on daily life, you're not using your logic as much, you're not balancing your emotions that much, you will get mentally disturbed. Let me put it straight out there. So everyone needs to work. Now, while it comes to dividing priorities, like I know of these 2 families I'm talking about, man lost a job in the first one, and the second one is going through mental disability right now, and he is unequipped to work, all right? So in both the cases, the women are working and they're okay with it. Now what happens is here, if there are going to be financial issues where the frustrations will start building up, that we really need someone else to support us, and which is also the case in which a man would be going out and working and would be the breadwinner, and a woman is sitting home. And I've seen those cases as well, if there is a financial crunch, these women who are always housemakers have stepped out and started earning because a family requires it.
Okay.
Right? So there are ample amount of situations present in the billions of population. It's all about where you look, how you look at, and how you then take it. So again, coming back to saying that yes, I fully agree that today's society is not ready fully, that when a man will say मैं quit करके कुछ महीने घर पे रहना चाहता हूँ, वहाँ पर बोला जाएगा कुछ महीने तो ठीक है, पर आपको करना है एक, बिकॉज आई सेड कि अगर आप नहीं जा रहे हो तो आपको इश्यूज होंगे खुद के अंदर होंगे, बिकॉज यूर हाफ ऑफ द टाइम विल बी सिटिंग आइडल एट होम. कितना खाना बना लोगे, कितने बच्चे देख लोगे? बच्चों की भी एक टाइम के बाद लाइफ शुरू हो जाएगी. By 3 or 4 years old, they're also having a full-on life. You need to do something with your life. That's where, you know, most of the times people are getting into recreational drugs or alcoholism, etc., because you're not showing up at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in your office then. The lifestyle issue has happened. So it's very important for both the genders to work, as it is important for both of them to feel their emotions and also balance their logic.
Have you ever watched Seinfeld?
I have a little bit.
Yeah?
A little bit.
There was this bit in Seinfeld where his girlfriend, Jerry's girlfriend, was breaking up with him.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting in that diner. Right? And she says, Jerry, I've given it a lot of thought. I don't think this is going to work. He says, okay. She says, what do you mean? It's like, I'll find someone else. You'll find someone else. It's like, yeah. It's okay. Go ahead. I've seen life evens out for me. By the way, it was great seeing you for some time. Have a nice life. And he gets up, pays the bill, and he leaves. I say normalize this because it's very basic. You don't get bogged down by rejection. This was 90s. For that scene to have happened in the 90s and aired like that, and people took it in a joke, but it was actually addressing a very big issue, right?
Very big issue. Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful way to say it's okay. Have a nice life.
Yeah.
And it was great being in touch with you, and I had a wonderful time that we
Yeah.
both spent together.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to miss you at some point of time in my life, but we'll see if we can reconnect. Thank you very much.
He didn't
Bye.
even say that. He's like,
I'm just saying, I'm just saying there's various ways, and that's
but it was,
and that's actually a normal way to live life, because I've seen people who are not able to take rejection,
yeah.
and they're like, how could that person reject me? And my self-worth is at question, and with that, everything else is at question. So understanding rejections and failures and coping with it, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
having that spirit of falling down, understanding what happened. If it needs some rectification in me, let me do that, or else go on, get up, let's go.
I took 2 brilliant insights today from you. In fact, they seem like just mere words, but there is a lot of depth in them if you understand them. One is self-awareness. If you're self-aware, then that rejection or that breakup will never hurt you as well, by the way, and in everything in life. And the second one being empathy. I think half of the troubles that arise in anyone's life are human created as well. People around us, peers, loved ones, relationships, not having relationships, being alone. It's the people around us. If we can all learn to empathize in that way, where it says, G, mujhe bhi jeena hai, tu bhi ji. G or jeena, right? And give each other that non-judgmental space, like the society that we were talking. We are talking about euphoria, but then again, one can dream. So these 2 words I'm going to take with me today from this brilliant conversation that we had, and I'm going to start implementing in some sort of a way in my day-to-day life as well. And that open dialogue that you spoke about, that especially with my kids, I need to understand that. Maybe I'll come back to you with that, but I need to really understand that. And it was a brilliant insight and very, very nice session with you today, Tanu. If we have questions from the people, I'll
Please
forward
do.
them to you. Yeah.
Please.
Shall we close this today?
Yes, absolutely. I had a brilliant conversation here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tanu. This was Tanu Vatsa. If you have any questions, write to me at thespecificask@gmail.com. We will get back to your questions and we'll try to find some answers for those. We're on Instagram at @thespecificask, and follow us there. Text us there. We'll reach out. Yeah, have a great day.